I got a call from a prophet of Cuba that say to me, "Thus says the Lord, you will have an experience with him. You've already had one, but the Lord say it's just a beginning." I just came out of a previous experience that left me in terror, for I could barely adapt to the underworld. 2 days later I receive a call from a prophet of Panama that told me, "You have to get ready in fasting, for God will take your life again. Prepare yourself." Then God gave me the date and the time. A day before the appointed date in the month of January 2018, I was afraid. I went to church to pray for 2 hours. It was half an hour to 8 o'clock. I could no longer breathe. I felt desperation for not being able to breathe. Suddenly I saw an army of radiant and scintillating angels descending from the sky. They were covered by great glory, and they worship God with celestial melody in the church, and one of them told me his name, saying, "I am a cherub of God," for each church has an angel assigned to guards it and takes care of it. The Lord placed me here to take care of this church where I am in charge of this temple. This transparent cherub had a drawn-out sword. He told me, "I fight whenever a wicked spirit wants to enter this temple." When the Lord angel looked at me, his eyes were blue and beautiful, his hair was curly, his dress shone with pearls of gold with sapphires, diamonds, and the edges were gold with Hebrew letters. He spoke a heavenly language not of this land. I lost my speech and started talking with him in the spirit. I saw that the Lord angels made a fence around it. This fence of angels has been put up to prevent wicked spirit from taking over your body, say the cherub. There is a devil outside this church wanting to enter your body. These angels will prevent him from entering. Fear not, because the Father is waiting for us. Immediately we rose up to the sky in a tremendous speed, so fast like a rocket rising. I looked and saw a grey cloud covering the entire earth atmosphere. The cherub told me this cloud covering the earth are demons that are in the earth's atmosphere. The church is asleep and is not waging spiritual battle. We climbed to the second heaven where I saw giant demon bound. The Lord angel told me, "These fallen angels that are bound are still watching what happens on the earth, but there are demons at their command that comes down to the earth." This giant told demons to come down to earth to cause accidents. They said, "Go down to the churches and provoke dissension, divisions, disputes, gossip, accusation. You must cause adultery inside the church, fornication within the church, homicide inside the church, spiritual death within the church, put sleep in the lives them that go listen to the word of that God, make trouble for them so they don't go to praise their God." I saw this cloud of demons that came down, and the cherub told me, "Look at what is happening today. Thousands of demons have entered within the churches. Go tell the church on behalf of the Father it's time to make war and binds the strong man, and hosts of the darkness. The church has to raise its voice like a trumpet and break the spells and break the empires of darkness." I saw giants demon that were sitting on their thrones in the second heaven, where they prevent prayer from reaching the throne of the Lord. They prevent the blessing of the Father going down to church. The Prince Michael was sent for fight and strip the Aaron so that the blessing of Daniel would descend. Jehovah sent his angel to strip the airs and confuse demons that are in the second heaven. Then the Lord angel told me, "Let's go up, the Father is waiting for you." We arrived at the height in the air where I saw the Lord before a desk and there was an altar, and I heard his voice that told me, "Come closer, for today you have to give me an account. You are in front of the great court of Christ to give me account about your works on earth." And I approached with fear, and he told me, "No one will plead, for there is only one judge who will judge and sentence according to what have you done on earth." I was scared. The angels were quiet and told me, "You are in front of the great court." I stood before him that is exalted high and sublime. He was the supreme God, omniscient, omnipresent and omnipotent, and I started to tremble. Immediately large screen appeared on my right and left. The Lord told me, "I'll show you your life," and the screen began to show my life from my birth. The Lord said, "In November 13th, 1999 you were born on the earth and you started to breathe the air of the earth. Behold, this is what you did for me. You preach and won souls for me, but now these are your bad deeds." I was afraid and trembling when suddenly he extended his hand. The screen went blank at my right and left. He told me, "There is no record of your evil deed. The one who comes to me and regret with all his heart, I forget his sins, I erase the past and I'll never remember it again. Evil deeds are forgiven and washed away with my blood. There is no condemnation for the one who believed. Then I saw a crowd behind me. Immediately they began to deliver accounts to him. Their evil deeds were screened as they lived a life of double-minded inside the church, and I saw angels that tied their feet and hands and threw them into the outer darkness, and the Lord told me very soon they will be in front of the great court. I will be a faithful and just judge to judge the nations of their sin. Suddenly he told me, enter the joy of your Lord and God. I am the door, the way, the truth and the life, and no one to go to the Father if not by me. I entered and saw 7 angels with 7 glasses in hands, and Jehovah began to tell me, the angels who have the chalice will be sent to earth, for those will taste the cup of my wrath. The ungodly, those who spat on my words and trampled my blood, and they are waiting for the trumpet blasts. After 7 angels blew the trumpet, Jesus said in a great voice, my church, come up here, for the Lamb wedding dinners has come. There was a silence. I saw a church service that was going on while the world was eating, drinking and marrying. When the Lord called up his bride, immediately there was an earthquake and the earth began to tremble at the sound of his voice. There were more than 1,000 people praising God in this church, but nobody ascended, for they did not hear his voice. The whole churches was left behind for the great tribulation. The entire churches was left because they lived a double life. Only little ones from 1 to 8 years old that were taken, women who were pregnant, their embryo was taken, and they began to realize that baby no longer were in their womb. Those with the babies in their arms saw that they were gone, and they wonder what happened. In the meantime the earth was shaking. People wonder. Suddenly the sky began to darken and the whole sky entered into a great darkness. People in that church ran out to look at the pastor and asked him, what's happening? The children are disappearing. Something absorbed them. People who do not know Christ said the aliens came, they took away the kids. Suddenly I began to look at a glorious cloud going down, and a celestial being with many angels were coming down. The world began to fear and I began to hear screams. Everyone came out to look at the glorious light and the being with a crown of gold on his head and a pearl that glowed like a red color coming out of the center of that crown. And the Lord had a belt that said King of Kings and Lord of Lords. His hair shone like gold threads. The world was terrified. The shepherds were desperate, because of the king that came to take his bride. And the Lord said, my church, come up high. The time has come for the marriage of the Lamb. I started to see that they started to disappear, thousands of souls from the 4 angles of the earth. The sun began to be transformed in the radiant light rising like clouds, and I saw cemeteries open. Souls flew like lightning above to the sky, and they were received in Jesus' arm, thanking him for having removed them from this world. I heard a chorus of angels flying towards him. They sang, holy and holy is the Lord, the welcome, the overcomer in the air, and the glory and the joy of the Father. For a new heaven awaits them. I promise I will prepare home for you, and your eternal home is ready awaiting for you. The Lord hugged the multitude because he is omnipresent. The saint rejoice for having endure in prayer and fasting to partake this glory. The Lord say to me, without holiness no one will see me. I come for a holy church that does not have stain or contamination or wrinkle. I am real and I am holy. Go tell the churches it's time to live in holiness. When I looked